break for JK here, and the Warriors will have to play the Memphis Grizzlies without one of their most athletic players.
Well, with missing JK and also missing GP2, the Warriors are missing two of their best on-ball defenders. So that's going to put a lot of onus on Moses Moody. Having him come out there and play defense, be point of attack defense, those are the things that the Warriors need to shore up, especially when they're going to the playoffs. Tonight is a great night for that. You're going against Ja Morant, probably one of the most prolific, most athletic point guards in the NBA. He's going to be downhill at you. They're number one in paint points in the NBA, so they live and breathe in the paint. So being able to contain the ball is going to be important tonight to be able to get the win, because when they get into the paint, they cause havoc. Guys like Jaren Jackson can get lobs at the rim. They can get threes on the wing. So these are things that they have to control tonight, and without GP2 and without JK tonight, it's going to be a big emphasis.
Yeah, we talked about these last 8 games. Warriors finding their rhythm, both offensively and defensively, gaining some momentum to carry into the playoffs. I think that's what Jonathan Kuminga needs to get individually, get himself going. So hopefully he'll get back as soon as possible, be healthy, and get his own rhythm and momentum going into the playoffs. And as Fezzi said, tonight, the task at hand is containing Ja Morant, whether it be Moses Moody. But I really think it's going to be a team effort. You got to show a wall in transition, and in the half court, you've almost got to dare him to shoot perimeter jump shots, keep him out of the paint, because that's where all their offense comes from, is Ja Morant's dynamic ability to get to the paint to finish, but maybe more importantly, collapsing that defense and making plays for his teammates.
Ja Morant shooting under 29% this season from the three-point line. We'll visit that a little bit later in the program, but let's revisit this past Sunday against San Antonio, where the Warriors really, they blew this game out in the first quarter, a wire-to-wire victory over the short-handed Spurs. They were coming off a back-to-back. Of course, they had played Saturday night against Boston. Sunday, they come back, and the Warriors dropped 44 on them in the first quarter. 44 points, and that's with Stephen Curry, Mully, attempting just one field goal.
Well, everything Steve Kerr wanted to see on this road trip culminated in one game. Get off to a quick start. As you said, Bonte, they score 44 points. Individual and team defense, they keep the Spurs to 17 points in the second quarter. Come out of the halftime, third quarter, they drop 43. So they dominate from start to finish. They get 42 assists. I thought just overall an incredible game to build some momentum. I thought all the role players knocked down their open shots that we created for them. So I think they'll carry confidence and momentum into this game tonight in Memphis.
When you say 42 assists, I think to myself that everybody was involved in the offense. For the Warriors, I thought the role players did an incredible job of making the defense pay. Steph Curry is a guy that the defenses are going to try to get the ball out of his hands every night. When you go to the playoffs, that's the game plan. And so Moses Moody hitting shots, Brandon Pajemski hitting shots, Quinn Post, that's going to open up the floor for you to get the ball back to Steph. So I thought that was a great showing, 21 threes by them. Defensively, they had 17 steals. That is making them pay on both ends on the floor, and that's when the Warriors are really, truly dangerous.
And they had those 21 made threes.
Yep.
Tonight's game, Memphis does not guard the three ball well, so that's going to be an important factor tonight, knocking down three-point shots.
And you talk about three-point shots. Our San Diego Tourism good vibes for today is Kevon Looney hitting a three. First three of the season, his 11th career three-pointer made in the regular season. And he didn't even look back at the bench. He just did it like, hey, it's a walk in the park. This is what I do.
I love the fact that this was a diagram play by Steve Kerr every timeout. Big Loon knocking it down.
It just shows how much work the big fella puts in, playing his role. But this was young Loon. When he was in high school, Kevon Looney was bringing the ball up and shooting threes, so it's good to see that throwback version of Loon.
Here's what Loon Dog had to say about that made three.
Been about time I got one up. Steve finally drew a play for me, so I had to shoot it. Yeah, he drew it up for me, so he asked me, did I want one? I said, yeah, so I got one. I didn't get to see it yet. I didn't want to look. I want to act like I've been there before, so. But it was fun to get it. I mean, I worked hard enough on it all summer, man. I was planning on shooting more this year, but you know how the game goes. But I was finally able to get one up. I made it, so that's all that matters.
Mully and I always tease Looney, shoot more threes. We see you do it in war rooms all the time as we connect, courtesy of Comcast Business. Every connection counts with the great KB, Gareth Burke, Petaluma's finest, Dalton Johnson and KB. Hopefully they can keep the good vibes going into this next stretch of games, because it heats up tonight against Memphis. Then you get the Lakers, Denver Nuggets, and the Houston Rockets, who are currently holding down the 2 spot in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a time on the schedule where I've seen the 6th seed face next the 5 seed, the 4 seed, the 3 seed, and the 2 seed. This is a very special gauntlet that can determine a lot of things for the Warriors. So what can they control to have, their chance to make the most of this stretch?
Well, you can only control the controllables, and I think that's what the Warriors need to focus on right now. Of course, starting tonight in Memphis. You guys remember last week when Steve Kerr tried to say that the most important game of the season was against the 20-win Pelicans? That was great coach talk, because the most important game of the season is tonight in Memphis. It kicks off the most important week of the season for the Warriors right now. If they beat the Grizzlies, they get the tiebreaker, and they go into the number 5 seed in the Western Conference. The 5th through the 8th seed is separated by just 1 game right now. The 4th-seeded Lakers, they're 2 games up on the 5 seed, but their final 7 games has them having the second hardest strength of schedule left in the West. So look, this is drama. This is what we've been waiting for. I know it's 2 different movies, but I feel like the Warriors are Leonidas right now in 300 protecting all of Sparta, and then there's Maximus. That's Adam Silver right now yelling out, "Are you not entertained?" These are the meaningful basketball games that Steph Curry and Draymond Green have been begging for. Is Jimmy Butler going to find a phone booth to put on his cape and turn into playoff Jimmy early? That is what I'm looking for right now, is seeing what the veterans who have been there, done that, are going to show up, and what Moses Moody, Brandon Pajimski, if they can, replicate what they did in San Antonio against these big-time, meaningful games. I cannot wait, because this is what we have been waiting for, Kareth.
Okay, you guys were talking about an Emmy earlier. Can we make sure Dalton? Can we make sure Dalton gets in on
We got Dade County Dalton, 300 references, Kendrick Lamar references, Drake references. He made with it by himself.
Jump right to an Oscar.
The fade was popping out, Bully. I'm ready to run through his banner right now. Yeah, big game for everybody. Let's go. Good stuff, Tom. I know how KB kept the straight faces on that entire time. That is a pro right there, folks. All right, when the going gets tough, the most games remaining versus opponents with a winning percentage of 56% or above. You see the Warriors here over the stretch. The Warriors, the Nuggets, the Rockets, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, and the Sacramento Kings all have a tough slate the rest of the way, Fezzy Fell.
Well, this is time to get ready for the playoffs, Bonte, like DJ just said. And it is a big week. But starting tonight, you're going against the Memphis Grizzlies. And Ja Morant is a tough out. They just had a tough loss last game against the Boston Celtics. So they're going to come out tonight for blood. So the Warriors is going to be a playoff atmosphere. And this is what you want. You want to see what your team looks like, what your bench looks like, what your rotation looks like when you're going against a playoff-type team in the playoff atmosphere. You're on the road. You got to get a win. What is your team going to do? I think the Warriors tonight, they get a good test to see what they have moving forward.
Yeah, I like this schedule, especially if the Warriors get the 6 or 5 seed, because I think, as Fezzi said, you get these challenging games, playoff-type atmosphere each and every time out, and then you get that week break to prepare for your first round. So I do like it, but they got to definitely stay out of that play-in situation to get that week off. Now I think these challenging games at the end of the season actually be a benefit to them.
No doubt about that. We've seen